Hi, my name is Todd Wright, and I'm Senior Product Marketing Manager here at Progress. Welcome to our Navigating Data Challenges in a Software as a Service Applications webinar. So let's start quickly by introducing today's speaker. Avahut Kulkarni is an experienced product leader who has been with Progress Data Direct for 18 years. Over the past 8 years, he has been working as a product owner on Progress Data Direct data connectivity portfolio. I'm really excited to have Avahut on our call today, and I'll now turn it over to Avahut to start the discussion.
Thanks, Todd. Thanks for that nice introduction. So yeah, hi all. Welcome to this webinar. As Todd said, I'm Avadhut Kulkarni, and as a part of my job as product leader overseeing our data connectivity portfolio strategy, I do talk to many of our customers and prospects. And I also do see some trends emerging. Today, I'm going to talk about a specific trend or probably multiple trends that I'm seeing with some SaaS application vendors. And hopefully this webinar will help you understand those challenges and how Progress Data Direct products can help solve those. So this will be like a sort of three-part presentation, right? In first part, we will look at challenges, especially around getting the data into your SaaS application and how it's crucial component for your business. After reaching a certain point in your business, your customers will like to have access to the data, which is inside your SaaS application. And I will talk about considerations and challenges in like a phase 2 of this presentation. And the phase 3 will be the question and answer session, as Todd explained earlier. So let's jump in. So one cannot serve customers without having access to their data. PMs can start with visualizing the SaaS application in isolation, thinking, okay, we can provide all our customer needs within my application. But as soon as they get introduced to the hard reality that without customer data, that whatever the value they're providing is either incomplete or insufficient. So none of the application and application data can actually remain in isolation with the rest of the world data. So the first challenge is how the customer's existing data is going to get ingested into your application and give them the business continuity that they need. The simplest solution that everybody thinks of initially is data dump, which is export from the original source, import into your application. That's one option, but it's usually error prone and creates more problems than it solves. So soon these PMs are realizing that having a real-time data integration with customers' existing data is the only real solution here. So the solution also has like its own fair of challenges. For example, the data is diverse. It can be present in various sources. It could be relational, SaaS application, REST API, and all that, right? It also can be hybrid, on-premise, placed on a multiple cloud, hybrid cloud infrastructures. So unless you have a standard and simple way to connecting all these data, providing a data integration to all of the potential sources is really complex and time consuming, as well as tedious. The second important part to that is data security, right? Data security concerns is a harsh reality of our world today. No one wants to be in the headlines for wrong reasons, right? So hence the security audit teams have become more stringent about the data integration practices and technologies. So your customers to adopt your solution, it needs to pass that enterprise level security standards. And the third and obvious but often overlooked reality of the solution is SaaS application is dependent on the data to be ingested consistently and regularly without fail. Our operations are so dependent on these integration flows that any glitches in this can throw that entire value for your customers out of the door. So along with all these, you need a solution that can be deployed on your choice of cloud infrastructure, or many times on the multiple clouds, robust high availability cluster deployments, high availability, high scalability capabilities, so that you are really ready for your future growth. So we have thought about all these challenges and built an enterprise-ready connectivity solution just for this business case. Progress Hybrid Data Pipeline product provides a standard-based connectivity on either ODBC, JDBC, or OData APIs for 40 plus inbuilt data sources that can further extend it to a REST APIs with our low-touch REST connector SDK, which is integrated with the hybrid data pipeline. And it can also further extend it with any third-party JDBC using our third-party JDBC integrations. So your application just integrates with a single HTTP product, and then through which you can maintain integration to the all other sources, just like configuration in the product UI. Enterprise security audit teams do not like creating holes in firewalls or allow external systems to access the internal database ports or create even private tunnels using VPNs. So both of these not considered to be best security practices. Hybrid data pipeline includes a technology to securely access on-premise data without creating any security loopholes and is approved by many reputed security audit teams. And that's why many SaaS enterprises have already deployed this solution in their network. It also supports integration with external identity management systems like SSO capabilities for consistency in the user roles and authorizations for the access privileges. With the sensitivity around data security, these all have become a basic norms today across the industry domains. But these are even more strictly followed by industries like financial, government, healthcare. The cost of building such solution is very high, and it also distracting for the SaaS organizations from their core strategy and delivering the real value to their customers. So if you think you have any of these challenges as I discussed today, please reach out to us and we will like to talk about this more. But be ready for the second part that I'm going to hit right now. Here actually the architecture diagram which shows how the data get ingested through hybrid data pipeline. So if you look at here your on-premise data is stored, which could be a big data clusters like big data on Hadoop, Hive. Then you have standard relational data behind your firewall in your network, and so forth and so on. So using our no firewall configuration solution, right, this data can be directly ingested into hybrid data pipeline. So hybrid data pipeline in this case could be running on the cloud infrastructure, or this could be also run inside your on-premise and expose it. This connectivity can be further extended using our inbuilt SaaS cloud data connectors as well as REST connector to other REST-enabled data sources, or using external JDBC to plug in any of your favorite JDBC connectors here. And then this data can be exposed to the rest of the world for integration. So this is the ingestion piece that I was talking about, is like independent of where your data lives, right? How diverse it might be. Hybrid data pipeline can give you connectivity to all that very securely, reliably to solve your enterprise level data challenges. So let's talk about the second part. Congratulations. If your challenges are in this category, then that means few good things for you. One, you have solved the problems that I talked about in the first part in the series decently successfully. Second, you have at least few customers and they are finding value with your SaaS application usage. And third, they are looking to stay long time with you and now looking at a future where your application data will get integrated with their rest of the data story. So if you have reached to this level, right, this is indeed a moment to enjoy your success. But this part also starts another journey. Going back to the statement I made earlier, nothing in this hyper-connected data world can remain in isolation. Your customers will now start believe that they have an important business data behind your SaaS application, and they would start imagining how it means to slice and dice that data, integrate that data with data from the other sources, and generate new interesting business insights. Process all these data, feed that into some AI/ML program to help decision makers with higher level of context and analysis at their fingertips. So now they will start making asks to you to provide access to data from your application. But can you do that very easily? Okay, let's see. So your SaaS application is a multi-tenant. You cannot hand over direct access to your backend data to your customers. Also, the backend data might have your own application related data too. So you don't want customers to have access to that, right? Not all users are equal. So hence they're not their privileges. You need to be able to guard the access control to the data based on the rules and authorization of the users. For some security conscious industries, you may also have to put further validation in place. For example, data can be accessed for certain geolocations only, or from certain specific machines identified by IP addresses. You also need to have a good auditing in place and also better integration with SIEM tools for better security auditing and risk detection. So yeah, you also have same application instances servicing multiple customers. So you also need to consider protecting performance and reliability of your system and protect it from a cannibalizing by a single intensive data query or processing job by one or few customers only. So I do see many SaaS organizations take REST API route to expose this business data. However, REST API is not best suited for the data integration needs. REST is not a standard. So many integration tools today either do not have a good REST connectors or struggle to handle huge number of varieties of the REST API implementations. So looking at the broader market, SQL is the still most popular language in terms of data integration in the world today. Top data integration tools, BI analytical tools currently support ODBC and JDBC standards for data connectivity. And some of those have also started supporting OData. For example, Salesforce and SAP also have the provisions to create live data connections to the external data sources using OData API. So these challenges were also on top of our mind when we designed our hybrid data pipeline product. So it supports multi-tenancy that allows you to isolate data of different customers more confidently, provide the right level of guardrails matching to the industry standards that you are serving with capabilities like external authentication integration, SSO, IP whitelisting, etc. It lets you put some hard limits on how much data fetch and processing is allowed for a single operation, which avoids any performance cannibalizing of the entire system by few or specifically single query. And last but potentially most important is proven, reliable, and straightforward integration with most popular BI and analytical tools like Excel, Power BI, Tableau, Cognos, MicroStrategy, and many more. Data integration tools like Informatica, ODI, Talend, data virtualization tool like Denodo, IBM Cloud Pak, TIBCO, and so forth and so on. With our standard ODBC, JDBC connectivity, we are proven to be working really well with all these tools that I just mentioned and more. So independent of what data integration strategy your customers will follow, your solution will fit right into that strategy. If any of these challenges are resonated with you, please reach out to us and we will like to talk more about those. So this is a diagram where we show how a hybrid data pipeline can help you expose data responsibly to the external world. So here, the first diagram shows an example where your data is, the Oracle data is in European data center. Here, SQL Server data is in American data center. You can put a single hybrid data pipeline cluster connecting across these data centers, giving a single OData API for your Salesforce to visualize all these data as external data, external data tables in Salesforce using Salesforce Connect. On the right side, there is another example. So a hybrid data pipeline is exposing data with ODBC, JDBC, or OData, allowing customers to integrate that with Excel using OData, or Tableau with OData, or ODBC or JDBC, Excel with ODBC, Cognos with ODBC, as well as Power BI, again, OData, Cognos can do OData. So with this standard-based connectivity, you will be fitting nicely with your customer's data integration strategy or BI strategy. Yeah, so that's all for today's presentation. Now I'm going to turn it over to Todd for question and answer session. Todd?
Hey, Abahu, thank you very much. Yeah, we actually have a few questions that came through during your presentation. And Abahu, I'll turn on my camera if you don't mind sharing your camera as well, and we'll go through some of these questions. Oh, there we go. Okay, great. Let's go through these questions. The first question that we have for you, how easily can someone plug in hybrid data pipeline for data access from existing cloud services? Question we get often.
Yep. So Progress Data Direct has always been focused on building standard-based connectors, right? Be it ODBC, JDBC, OData. So our huge industry experience and expertise in the standard-based connectivity domain gives us very unique superpower in terms of integrating with other systems, like I was talking in my presentation, right? All popular data integration, BI analytical tools, including the tools from popular cloud services like AWS Glue, Azure Data Factory, right? They can easily integrate with rather all our connectivity products, including hybrid data pipeline that I'm talking in this presentation. Rather, our website is full of such tutorials on how you can integrate these tools with our products. I definitely believe there is one about Azure Data Factory with Hybrid Data Pipeline, to give an example. So yeah, like it's very easy to plug in the HTTP for data access in our from existing cloud services.
Yeah, I think you made a good point as well. Our website has a full variety of tutorials to really help out organizations and individuals when they're looking to use our offerings and get started. So good point there. Another question, what solutions do you offer to provide controlled access to data? Little data privacy and security question here.
Right. So hybrid data pipeline product is designed with this SaaS business use case in mind, right? And the data challenges that they are facing. So as I was explaining, when you are exposing the data to end users, hybrid data pipeline does give you a way to control the data exposed by the data feed by controlling the. So specifically, when you are exposing data through OData, you can control the data model and decides which tables and which columns of the backend data source are really getting exposed through that OData endpoint. So it does provide you a very good controlled access to the data.
Okay. Thank you for that one. Let's see, we have another question here. What benefit do we get using Salesforce Connect over Salesforce Storage?
Yeah, and I believe that's a really good question, right? So in Salesforce storage use case, what user usually do is copy their critical system data over to the Salesforce, and the data resides in the Salesforce as a copy, right? So as the data volume goes, the cost of Salesforce storage becomes very large and prohibitive to most of the customers and prospects that I have talked with, right? So instead of that, if you OData enable your critical system data and connect that through Salesforce using Salesforce Connect and use that as an external table concept in the Salesforce, right? It becomes a much more cost-effective solution, because now Salesforce charges you based on the number of OData endpoints that you connect instead of the total volume of the data. And hybrid data pipeline also allows you to combine multiple data sources under a single OData endpoint. So if you use that capability, you can even further reduce your Salesforce Connect bills.
Okay, excellent. Looks like a little follow-up to that. Does your product have any auditing capabilities for data access compliance needs?
Yes,
Sounds like you
HTTP.
touched on that a little bit, but yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yes, so HTTP has a SQL auditing capabilities in the product, so that like they can be used for compliance needs and stuff like that. Yes.
Okay, excellent. Looks like a final question for now. How much DevOps IT involvement is required to manage and maintain the product and its usage?
Yeah, and that's very interesting question, because the answer mostly depends on how the roles and responsibilities are assigned within the organization, right? So to generalize the answer, the product does need IT and DevOps involvement for initial deployment and regular monitoring and upgrades. However, the product administration and daily operations can be completely handled by someone like a solution or application architect, or a role, an application administrator role, right? Who's more focused on the application usage and controlling the application rather than the IT DevOps role. So to give an example, one of our major hybrid data pipeline customer had a very strong requirement that they should have a very minimal IT dependency when they are operating the hybrid data pipeline configurations, and they are extremely happy with what hybrid data pipeline is providing them in this aspect.
Okay, excellent. Well, Avihu, it looks like you're getting off extremely easy. We don't have any further questions. With that said, and my goal of not letting you get off too easy, do you have any final thoughts for the audience, or any lasting thoughts they should have in regard to Progress Data Direct, industry as a whole around data. Any thoughts?
No, I think data is becoming like important for multiple years now, right? Data has been central, data analytics being important, AI again based on the next story of the data use case is getting important. So when we are moving forward on our data literacy, data knowledge, and being more wise about our decision about the data-driven decisions, right? Having a really good integrations between the different data pieces is very important, and I believe the hybrid data pipeline can be a very good um, example. But apart from hybrid data pipeline, the data direct and the progress division called ADP, which is about data platform, right? Are actually working in the same problem space to help customers build their business critical solution in this area. So if you have any problems, any challenges in that area, we'll love to talk and see how we can help.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I'll mention again is on our website, we have the ability to trial our software, any one of the connectors. We have tutorials to help you out. We have videos. We have a lot of materials for any organization to really get up and going as far as data connectivity solutions from Progress Data Direct. Well, Avahut, we'll end it here, and I want to thank you and thank everyone that was able to attend this webinar today. As always, for everyone that attended this webcast and those that registered as well, you're going to be receiving a recording of this webcast. And as we've mentioned a few times, we're always open for questions if you have and anything that you'd like to discuss around Progress Data Direct. And with that said, I wish everyone a great day and thank you again. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks.